Hey guys, welcome back. This is Bernard from the BTNHD, and yes, what comes inside the box? I just did a quick unboxing with no sound, so don't freak out. All right, so let's get down to it. First things first, we have our setup guide. We have our safety and warranty guide. We also have this service kind of pamphlet, and it kind of provides information like the serial number and other information that you could do on the Lenovo site. We have the power cable, and we have our power brick, and actually the power brick is 135 watts. So I'm gonna take the power brick and the power cable and hook it up real quick. Awesome. And let's put this stuff to the side. Last but not least, we have the Lenovo Yoga C940 hybrid laptop. And I consider this guy a hybrid laptop because it converts into a tablet and many other forms. Now, this guy weighs around 4.40 pounds with a thickness of 0.71 inches, making it extremely light to travel around with this particular laptop. Now, using this laptop during my review, I kind of consider this laptop as an entertainment laptop. It is able to do other things like do a little bit of Photoshop, video editing with Premiere and DaVinci Resolve. But overall, I really feel like this machine is a entertainment laptop to use. If you have the laptop facing you to the point that you are able to open it up like this, on your right-hand side, you have the following ports. You have your pen slot, which allows you to insert your pen as well as charge it. You have one 3.1 USB port, and right next to that, you have your power port. On your left-hand side, you have the following. You have your combo audio jack, which allows you to hook up a headphone or a headphone with a mic system. You have two Thunderbolt 3 Type-C USB ports. And last but not least, you have your power port. Now, one of the cool things about the Yoga C940 is that the display itself on the lid, it has this nice little notch that allows you to just grab it and open up the laptop with ease. So that's what I'm gonna do. Awesome, cool. Now the power port is located on your right-hand side at the very top right here. So let's power it on, turn this guy on and log in. So there's a couple of ways to log into the Yoga C940. You're able to use a password or a PIN or the fingerprint scanner, which is located right here. Unfortunately, you're not able to configure the C940 with an IR camera to use Windows Hello. I do have this laptop hooked up to log in with my finger, so let's use the fingerprint scanner right now to log in. All right, so let's talk about the trackpad on the C940. The trackpad itself, I did not have any issues at all. Pretty responsive. If you want to know the measurement on the trackpad, if you take 2 quarters, 1 nickel, 2 dimes, that's going to give you around 4.28 inches. Now, how about the keyboard on the C940? Now, the keyboard itself, it is a full keyboard layout. Basically means it gives you the number pad on your right-hand side. I did notice that the keys itself felt kind of flat. And I blame myself because I've been doing a lot of ThinkPad reviews for you guys. I'm so used to that kind of curve on the keys. And to actually use a laptop with flat keys, you know, you got to get used to it. If you want to know the distance between each key, if you take a nickel and a penny, that's going to measure around 0.12 inches. Now, when I was using the keyboard, again, because the keys feels flat, I didn't have too much issue getting into it and start using it. The keyboard itself feels extremely responsive when I was typing and doing my day-to-day stuff within Word and Excel or going online. Now, the C940 keyboard is backlit, super bright, especially if you're using the laptop at nighttime. For sound and audio, the C940 has a lot of speakers. It has 2 speakers on your left and your right-hand side at the bottom, and it also has that signature sound bar, which is between the display and the keyboard. Now, the loudness that I got on the sound bar and all the speakers was around 87.4 decibels. Now, let's talk about the display on the C940. Now, the size on the display is around 15.6. It is an IPS display touchscreen, which I did not find myself using it as much, but that's okay. For the brightness level, this is the highest that you could go, and this is the lowest. Now, if you guys want to know numbers like nits, it is actually 500 nits. Now, the resolution on the display is only 1920 by 1080 full HD, but you are able to purchase the one which is Ultra HD. Now, the C940 is enabled with Windows HDR, which allows you to view HDR content, and also it is automatically configured and turned on to play games that support HDR. At the very top of the display, you are going to get a 720 HD webcam, and also the webcam comes with the Think Shutter. Now with the Think Shutter, the cover lid right here, I found it kind of difficult opening it up and closing it. All right, so let's talk about another cool feature on the Yoga C940, and that's the pen. Now the pen is actually located on your right hand side inside the pen slot, which allows you to house it and also charge it. So let's take it out. One of the cool things about the pen that I noticed is that it works pretty well, but when I was using it within Photoshop, there is a slight little delay. But for me, that's okay because I'm not a huge designer or illustrator to use the pen. But for those individuals that need this thing to respond quickly, you might do a little bit of configuration within the Windows 10 settings to modify it. Now, I did notice that when you're using it inside a tablet form, the pen is actually located at the very bottom of the display. It'd have been cool if the pen was located at the very top, making it super easy to remove. Okay, so let's talk about the C940 specifications. Now, with this particular review unit that Lenovo sent me, it was pretty strong for me to do my day-to-day stuff, like a little bit of 4K editing. I did notice a little bit of lag, even though I did not create any proxy files, but I was able to actually edit 4K files raw without creating proxies, which is a huge plus. I was able to play around with DaVinci Resolve with no issue, so that's not a problem. Let's actually right-click on the taskbar, go to Task Manager, and let's take a closer look on the specifications. So let's go to Performance. Let's open this guy up. Let's right-click on the CPU, change the graph to logical processor. Now, this unit right now is running 6 cores, 12 logical processors with an Intel Core i7-9750H CPU with a clock speed of 2.60 gigahertz. Wow. This is the reason why I was able to run a lot of my programs with ease. Now, for memory, it actually has 16 gigs of memory. It is running a 512 solid state drive, which is pretty awesome. And for graphics, it actually has 2. Now, it comes with the Intel Ultra HD Graphics 630. Plus, check this out. It comes with an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1650 with Max-Q design with 4 gigs. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, with that GTX 1650, are you able to game? Yes, you are able to game. I was able to use this particular machine with one of my favorite games, Jump Force, and I was playing with it with no problem. Now, if you're using a game that supports HDR, this machine will automatically have HDR enabled, and your gaming experience will look so realistic and beautiful with the colors popping. Now, I did notice a little bit of heating around this little area right here on the C940. There are vents located at the bottom as well as right between the keyboard and the sound bar. I got the measurements of degrees between 85 to 90 degrees. It wasn't really alarming, but you are able to use this laptop on the lap. Now, with that GeForce GTX 1650, I did a lot of damage when I was doing a lot of editing with Premiere and also DaVinci Resolve. Now, I did notice when I was using this guy off the grid or offline, you're probably saying, what do you mean? No power. I didn't travel a lot with the power supply, but when I was doing a lot of video editing, my performance went down. And the reason why is because this laptop inside BIOS is automatically configured to do discrete mode. There's 2 modes, discrete or UMA. The UMA mode would allow you to have a better battery performance, but you want to use discrete mode to use that, to use the graphics card all the way. And I suffered a lot, because when I was rendering everything out with 4K within Premiere or doing Photoshop stuff, the battery life was kind of sucky. Now, I like to run 2 battery tests using PC Mark 10 on all my machines. So I actually ran PC Mark 10 on this machine, basic modern office battery life test, and it took around 6 hours and 30 minutes. And for video, it took around 7 hours to 54 minutes, around 8 hours. Real life battery usage, it took between, I would say 5 to 5.5. It really depends on how I used it. I kind of stretched it to the point to 6.5 hours, which is not that bad. But again, if you're really using this guy, like if you're doing video editing, Photoshop, and you have that brightness on the display, the battery life will go down quicker. But I actually got this machine to stretch out between 6.5 hours of battery life. Now, the price point on this particular machine is not that bad. Retail price right now, if you go inside the Lenovo site, It is starting around $1,367. Let's round it off around $1,400. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, am I going to get this particular machine that you're reviewing right now, that you're seeing on the screen, for $1,400? I don't think so. Let's go inside current models, and let's go all the way to the last one. So let's compare them, all right? The most expensive one that you get, let's round it off around $2,200. So you got $1,400, and then you got $2,200. So what are you going to get? For the $1,400 one, you're definitely going to get that i7 9750H processor. Now for the $2,200 one, you're going to get the i9 processor with a 9880H processor with a clock speed of 2.30 gigahertz. Both of them are going to come with Windows 10. Now this is where it gets a little different for the display. For the $1,400 one, you're going to get the Full HD. For the most expensive one, Ultra HD. But both of them share the same nits, 500 nits. And one of them is glossy. Now for memory, it looks like the $1,400 one, the retail one, is only going to come with 12 gigs of memory, and for the most expensive one, 16 gigs. Now they actually emphasize that the memory is embedded on the motherboard, so that means you are not able to upgrade the memory on your own. For hard drive space, it looks like for the most expensive one, you're going to get that 2 terabyte solid state drive, and for graphics, nothing changes. Both of them are going to come with the GTX 1650 4 gigs. All right, so let's conclude our review on the C940. First things first, the lack of ports. Now, the C940 doesn't have a lot of ports, and that kind of sucks for me. The ports that it is lacking is basically an SD card reader port, maybe 2 or maybe 1 more USB port. It does have 2 Thunderbolt 3 Type-C port, which allows you to hook up external monitors, which is cool. But what if you don't have an external monitor that supports a Type-C connection? So the C940 lacks an HDMI port. That sucks. Now for price point, it's not that bad. $1,400 for that particular specifications that we went over. It works. I would definitely go for that price point because I'm able to use that 12 gigs and that i7 processor with my day-to-day workflow with no problem. Having the pen on the C940 is an additional nice little feature, but I don't find myself using it as much because I am not an artist or illustrator. But for those individuals that are looking for that particular feature, go for it. The size is not that bad. The weight and the thickness is not that bad. I was able to travel with it and pack it up inside my book bag with no problem. It's a nice little laptop to travel around with, but overall, it's a good find. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. Leave comments right below. Don't forget about hitting that like button, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.